We will now move to the next submission. This is from E2. And I think we're having a hybrid submission in person and online. So if the team in the room can come to the table, just give Brian a chance. And if there are people online, is it online just in the person? Okay. Folks, welcome. Thank you for presenting before us today. We'll have you for 10 minutes. I'll hand over to you to start.
Yeah, right. Kia ora, and thank you for this opportunity. I just thought we'd just start with some introductions first, and I'll hand over to Nia, my colleague, who's to make an introduction. Thank you.
Kia ora and warm Pacific greetings, Ngā Rangatira. My name is Nia Bartley. Tangata Tiriti, Tangata o le Moana, Wellington born and raised. I'm the elected Central Regional Representative of the E2 Union Executive Board. I'm also on the E2 Women's Committee and an NZCTU Committee Pacifica co-convener. Our members do not support this bill. It is the exact opposite of kotahitanga. This bill has conjured negative, toxic rhetoric, not in the best interests of Aotearoa. This bill majorly undermines and tramples on the mana of tangata whenua. It is an affront to their human rights. Kill the bill. This bill is disrespectful and undermines the tino rangatira tanga status of tangata whenua, distracting division by design. Kill the bill. Toi tū te tiriti. Now I introduce you to our co-president of the E2 Union, Muriel Tunoho.
Kia ora ko whainui tōku waka ko Sakihuku tōku hapu he uri ahau o Reikawa ki Uta, ko Reikawa ki Tai, ka Muriel Tunoho ahau. I'm very proud of my Māori heritage. I'm also a descendant of Hokowhitu McGregor and Lydia Shasha, so I'm also proud of my tupuna and their Scottish and Italian whakapapa too. I'm a mother of 2 sons and a nanny of 6 mokopuna aged from 4 weeks to 18 years old. My husband is a Pākehā, born to an Irish Catholic parents. I personally oppose the bill because of the distrust and disinformation about Te Tiriti o Waitangi being used to create division, remove our Indigenous rights and to diminish the mana of our tupuna and mokopuna. But I'm here today as the co-president and life member of E2 Union to speak to our union submission to oppose this bill. Just as some background and a reminder that E2 is the largest private sector union in New Zealand, and we make this submission on behalf of our 48,000 members. 15% of our members are Māori. Our members also work across many diverse industries, including aviation and communications, community support, services, engineering, infrastructure and extraction, manufacturing and food, and public and commercial services. Thank you for the opportunity for us to expand on our submission. One of the big problems we do have with the bill is about the poor and damaging process that has seen this bill ushered into Parliament. As a union, we negotiate hundreds of collective employment agreements with employers every year. These agreements are negotiated in good faith and cannot unilaterally be cancelled or amended by either party just because the party no longer agrees, in hindsight, about the existence or interpretation of clauses they had previously negotiated. Discussion between the parties can take place at any time to reach agreement on any interpretation issues. However, if no agreement is reached, either party has access to the existing judicial processes to seek a legally binding judgment on what the clause means. If an employer deliberately ignores this process and unilaterally changes our members' employment agreement conditions, a revolt would immediately break out, similar to what you've already seen with over 100,000 people taking action across the Motu in the lead up to the arrival of the Hikoi that recently descended on this Parliament. We oppose the Treaty of Waitangi Principles Bill, not just because it is a threat to Te Tiriti o Waitangi, but because it threatens to destabilise the unity that is already growing amongst the peoples of Aotearoa, striving for a better and flourishing future for Papatūānuku and all of your children. So our members have asked us why this bill is even being considered, given the pressing problems currently facing Aotearoa. Many of our members are currently struggling to survive on minimum wages with precarious conditions and constant fear of job losses. There are 70,000 care and support workers still fighting for pay equity. The care and support sector here needs to be transformed to improve inadequate wages and safe staffing. Tens of thousands of cleaners, caretakers, catering staff, school grounds people and security guards in our communities are battling to earn a living wage just to live with dignity. The extravagant amount of cost and time wasted to hear this bill has been prioritised over the bread and butter issues affecting all workers and their whānau. E2 is not afraid or opposed to having national conversations about Te Tiriti o Waitangi and any proposed constitutional solutions, but that kōrero must start between the Crown and iwi hapu Māori as a first priority because they represent the original signatories to Te Tiriti. We acknowledge the important mahi already set out in the Mateke Mai report about some of these issues. In summary, E2 opposes the bill because it overstates the kawanatanga of the Crown and does not allow good faith cooperation between Te Tiriti partners. It deprives Māori of all rights that they enjoyed prior to 1840 unless those rights have been specifically agreed with the Crown in legislation. The New Zealand public was not a party to Te Tiriti o Waitangi, but under this bill they determined through a referendum the interpretation of an agreement signed by 2 other parties, iwi hapu and the Crown. It subordinates tino rangatiratanga to kawanatanga. The bill undermines Aotearoa's only expert commission of inquiry on Te Tiriti, the Waitangi Tribunal. The Tribunal has issued a scathing report criticising the process and content of this bill. Only one minor party in Parliament supports this bill, while the government's own officials and overwhelming numbers of Te Tiriti experts, academics, the country's most prominent lawyers and all iwi hapu leaders oppose this bill too. It too calls on your select committee to reject the bill. The Waitangi Tribunal report stated, quote, that the bill would be the worst and most comprehensive breach of Te Tiriti or Waitangi in modern times. We've also taken this opportunity for the committee to also consider rejecting the proposal for a public referendum. Public referendum is unfair because it will relate to an agreement between the Crown and Māori representatives. The New Zealand public is not a party to Te Tiriti or Waitangi. That's all I
Well,
to say.
thank you,
Thank
Muriel.
you.
Thank you, Muriel and Nia. We've got time for a couple of questions. First from Taka first, and then Steve.
Tēnā korua, tēnā koe Muriel e te whanaunga.
Right.
I te huhua o ngā kōrero. There's probably not been a more comprehensive, quick summary than that. And given that your guys' work spreads across a lot of the working whānaus that are Māori across the country, what do you think the impact of this bill on the mokopuna of those families is or will be?
I think that's what came up in the previous speaker, is that these are important issues to discuss, but you have to go back to the parties that were first at the table and signatories to Te Tiriti or Waitangi. And if we can't get that right, I think we've already seen some of that damage already done across the motu as well. And I think we're really just sort of flagging there is a lot at stake here, and there's a sense of harm. There's also a growing sense of support of more tangata tiriti as well. It's really understanding the situation. So I don't know if does that address your pārtai?
I suppose my part just goes a little bit further to the intergenerational impact. You know, how are our kids getting impacted by this, and how are our mokos likely to be impacted, which is an intergenerational impact?
It's funny, isn't it? Because we've got a 3-year-old mokopuna who's probably more fluent in te reo than I am, and more confident as well. And I think it's really important for our existing mokopuna and future mokopuna that are unborn, that they still see a place for them in Aotearoa. They still recognise the promises that were promised by their tupuna and you know, and signed with the Crown as well. So yeah, good.
Thank you. Again, apologies. We're out of time on this one, but thank you both for presenting today on behalf of you too. We appreciate your time.
Sure.
And that's a very interesting perspective to come from Etu. The fact that their union is, I think it might have said in there about 50% Māori, which I would not have thought of, but that is very plausible. And it's very good that they've come out and mentioned exactly what is not a good faith agreement, such as like an employer unilaterally changing the contract without the employee's consent and then going, but my new contract's, it's my way or the highway, which is a very interesting way of putting the treaty principles bill in.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Guide, the Order Paper Podcast. YouTube, Twitch, Instagram.